Today's video is going to talk to you guys a little bit about metric conversions and the things that we had talked about in class about how to go about converting between units that are like kilometers to meters to centimeters and so on. So the first thing we talked about as a class was how are we going to remember what all of the prefixes are. And the one that seemed to work most was King Henry died with a capital, and then the blank, drinking chocolate milk. So when we look at this, we have the kilo for kilometers, that's 1,000. Hecta is 100. Deca is 10, and this would be the blank. So this would be meters. 1 meter, 10 meters, 100 meters, 1,000 meters. Kilo, hecta, deca, meter, deci, centi, and milli. So this is 1/10 of a meter. So 10 of these make one of those. This is centi, this is 1/100th of a meter, and this is milli, so that's 1,000th of a meter. This works just like place value does, though, in that it takes 10 of anything on this side to make the next one of these. 10 millimeters makes a centimeter, 10 centimeters makes a decimeter, 10 of these makes one of these. And that's why it should make sense that this is 100. If I need 10 loonies to make a $10 bill, and then I need 10 $10 bills to make a $100 bill, it would make sense that I would need 100 of these to make one of these. Because, again, 10 times 10, that's 100 to get there. 10 times 10 times 10, that's 1,000 to get there. 10 times 10 times 10, it's 1,000 to move from here to here. So it works a lot just like place value does. And we talked about the idea of that you guys had maybe learned it written down in reverse, like where you had millimeter over here, centimeter, decimeter, meter, decameter, hectometer, and kilometer or kilometer. And you talked about how you'd learned it that way, and I much prefer writing them the other way around. I know this is kind of makes sense a little bit because we started small and we moved to big. And a lot of people are comfortable starting at small and moving to big. But to be honest, I like it this way. And if you guys remember why, it's because we can use this as an actual tool to help us convert. So I'm going to show you the first way to convert. And that is by writing those out. Kilometer, hectometer, decameter, meter, decimeter, centimeter, and millimeter. Now with those written out like that, let's say I ask you to convert, I don't know, 342.6 meters into centimeters. The way we had talked about it in class and the way you guys seem pretty comfortable with is that I just write this stuff here above my little strip. So in order to do that, all I really have to do is make sure the decimal's in the right spot. And after I do that, I can kind of just put the numbers in based on where they are in relation to the decimal point. So what I'm going to do is check my first unit. Where am I starting? I'm starting with meters. So that means my decimal point goes right there, next to the meters. And then there's a 2 next to that, so that's above meters. There's a 4 next to that, that's above decameters. There's a 3 next to that, that's above hectometers. And then there's a 6 over here, decimeters. So what this is really telling me is that in 342.6 meters, what I actually have is 3 hectometers, because I have 300 meters. That's what hectometers are. I have 4 decameters, and this is like groups of 10 meters. I have 4 of those. 2 single meters, and then 6/10 of a meter. I haven't quite filled up another whole meter yet, but I have 6/10 of it. And that's what that's telling me. Now to convert that to centimeters, all I actually have to do is move the decimal. So I take the decimal that was here, and I move it from here to the same spot at centimeters. So it would go here. And now I have a blank spot above centimeters that I would need to fill in with a 0. And so hopefully you guys can see that what I'd end up with is 34260 decimal centimeters. 34,260. Now, you don't have to quite wait that long or use that whole tool. You can go a little quicker than that by going King Henry died, drinking chocolate milk. And then if it said 342.6 meters all the way to centimeters, you would just do this. This is where meters is, right here. And to get to centimeters, I gotta move 1, 2 over, and I have to move that way. So I would write down, I need to move 2 this way. And so I take my decimal, 3426, which was here, and I move it 2 over. 1, 2. Put a 0, put a decimal, centimeters. So you can do it that way too, right? Either way, having the line written this way instead of the other way around makes it a little bit easier to sort it out, even though you'd have to remember that the smallest is on this side and the greatest is over here on this side. So that's the gist of metric conversions. It would work either way depending on whichever unit I give you. You would just start it there, figure out how far over you have to move and in which direction, and that's that. Now there is one more hiccup, and that is if you have kilometers, hectometers, decameters, just regular old meters, deci, centi, milli, and I say convert 260 meters squared into centimeters squared. That's a little more difficult. And we talked about it in class, and you guys worked out the patterns, and you realized that really what you end up doing is doing the exact same thing, except you moved the decimal twice as far over. So I had a 2, a 6, and a 0, and the decimal was originally there. And now I need to move it to centimeters. 1, 2, this way. So normally I would move 2 this way. But for squared, after we did all our patterns and figured all that out, we realized that it's really twice as far. So instead of 2 squared, I'm going to double that, and I'm going to move 4 that way. Sorry, not instead of 2 squared. Instead of 2 this way, I'm going to double that and move 4 this way. So my decimal was originally here, 1, 2, 3, 4 decimal. And now I fill in any numbers that are blank with zeros, and that's how many centimeters squared this would be. So again, not super difficult. If these units were cubed, you would not double it, you would triple it. So again, I'm not going to go through too many examples like that because we did a whole bunch in class, but this is a good video to come to review exactly what's going on if you need to do some metric conversions to solve some problems.